This is the Protech Strider PT. Got quite a few chips in it. I'm going to go ahead and do a very quick sharpening. Figured I'd bring you along. This is the AP0509 Combo Stone. Now this knife does have some chips in it, so I'm just going to blaze through this as quickly as I can. I'm not going to do a whole lot of talking and commentary. You don't have to forgive the background noise. My AC has been making some god-awful sounds recently. But it is too hot not to have air running. Got a burr, switching sides. Develop the burr on both sides. Just going to clean things up a little bit. This is the 1000 grit side. This particular knife is made with 154 cm steel, which is one of my favorite steels of all time to sharpen. Just responds to the stone so well. Takes a fantastic polish with very little effort. This stuff just wants to be sharp. It's pretty damn tough. If I'm not mistaken, it was made as an upgrade to 440C. It's pretty much the same formulation as 440C, with just a few little tweaks. Pretty much got all the 240 scratches removed. I'm going to go just a little bit longer, just to make sure everything's nice and cleaned up. And then we're going to transition over to the 2000 grit Green Brick of Joy. And that's going to be our stopping point. All the chips are gone. Get rid of some of this swarf. When you're doing your final strokes, you want to try to clean the stone off. You don't want any of that swarf and impacted metal to damage your apex. And the main goal here is just to get everything lined up, and if possible to remove and cut off any burr. And if your stone is loaded up, that might not happen. That's good enough. 2000 grit Green Brick of Joy. Now, I know this stone doesn't cut high carbide steels very well, but I figured it'll cut 154. And looking at the load buildup, I do see metal being removed, and my knife is polishing up quite well. So yes, indeed, it will cut some of the more simple stainless steels. So when you start getting into the CPM varieties, you might have problems. Been told quite a few things about this stone. I've been told that it's very soft. Been told that it loads like crazy. It does load, but it's real easy to remove. It's not as soft as I had been led to believe. It is a softer stone, don't get me wrong. You can snowplow and gouge it, but it's not as soft as many of my Nubatama stones. Those stones are way more friable than this guy, so the softness of them is much higher. I really have to concentrate on those to keep myself from gouging the hell out of them. I don't have that problem so much with this stone. If you do have a soft stone like that though, you can always just do edge trailing strokes like this, and then you don't have to worry about snow plowing at all. The only problem with edge trailing is what happens is as the abrasive pulls the metal down, the tendency is there to create a foil edge. If you've never seen a foil edge, it's like a piece of tin foil just sitting on it. It's really difficult to remove. You see it mostly on your real simple steels like 420 HC, AUS6, the really low carbide stuff, really simple 1095s and things like that. Although I don't know if 1095 develops foil. Regardless, edge trailing will always lead to a nasty burr. And burr removal, part of it is trying to minimize burr removal by not creating a large one to begin with. So if there's something you can do to help prevent that, by all means do it. And edge trailing is the exact opposite. It's not going to prevent it, it's going to create it. Your mileage may vary. I know a lot of guys prefer to deburr that way. Honestly, I don't know how that's working for them. I rarely do it. I'd rather try to cut it off edge trailing on the stone like this. And if I can't cut it off, I'd rather strop it off. And if all else fails, you can always joint the edge. Just drag it across your stone really, really lightly and do about 5 to 10 passes on each side again, just to help recreate that apex you may have cut off a little bit. And you should be burr free and ready to move on. I'm not a big fan of joining the edge. That's where you just drag it across the stone, but it does work. High angle passes can also work, where you elevate your angle even higher than what you're sharpening at. Again, I'm not a fan of that because it's easy to create a micro bevel, and I hate micro bevels. But to each his own. You do what you have to do to get your knife sharp. Now my little choil ricasso area here has dug into the stone up here a couple of times where I don't know if my angle just wasn't right or wasn't paying enough attention, whatever the case. I did dig into the stone a little bit. All done with that. Buddy on Instagram, Jesse, sent me this strop. It's double-sided. I've got white compound on this side and diamond paste or diamond spray 1 micron on the other. I tend to do about 10 passes per side, and that is it. Sometimes I do fewer, sometimes I do more, but 10 seems to be good enough. It's not too many, not too few. It's a good balance for my sharpening. Again, your mileage may vary. And that is it. We should have a sharp knife. I can keep from hitting that ricasso choil area. That is cutting very cleanly. Of course, where it started to tear is where it started getting caught in that ricasso. That's it, fellas. If you have any questions or comments, as always, leave them down below. Got a really decent polish from that 4K, 2K, excuse me. Polish is like a 4K. Hopefully that's picking up.